You are listening to episode number 283 of Better Blood Sugars with Delane, MD. Hey there, and welcome to the podcast. So, I have been having some glitches with the mic. And so I'm having to listen and record at the same time, which is just always like multitasking at its finest. So bear with me if there are pauses or if there are any glitches, or God forbid, if I misspeak or have anything that doesn't make sense. You can always ask me questions and send me emails. So I am glad you're taking a few minutes. It is the end of the year. I am actually recording this December 29th of 2024. So it's the very end of the year. The year is coming to a close. And I'm just really glad that you're taking a moment to really invest in yourself and your health and what's important to you. It is a crazy busy time. And I know that I'm not the only one feeling that right now. So if you're listening, I'm just really grateful that you're taking some time for you. Today, of course, I want to discuss setting intentions and goals, hopes for the new year, maybe New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call them. People have opinions about this term, about whether we even do this, and they don't like the term New Year's resolution or goals or whatever, and that's totally fine. But I do think there is a relevance in setting a direction for your new year. I think having a time every year where you kind of give yourself permission to do this is kind of a gift. I think if you've done that, kind of give yourself permission to look at what you're capable of and what's possible. Allow yourself to dream a little bit. And then, set the direction for your new year and, how you want the new year to turn out for you. I think it seems at the turn of the year, that's a great time to do that. So today I want to discuss that kind of effective ways to set a goal, how to, allow yourself to dream and dream big, how to set dates for that, um, see how to consider how that feels and how navigate that feeling component, and then how to get granular. I want to talk about all of these things and some of the things that kind of hang us up and get us blocked and really get in our way. And if you've had, many women come to the new year and they're like, just like last year, this is why they don't like New Year's resolutions, right? Like, just like last year, I'm making this goal for myself, and last year it didn't work. Why do I think it's going to work this year? If that's what's happening for you, learning the tool, the skill of getting granular with your goals is very, very powerful, and I would highly recommend you do that. Before we jump in, there are going to be some changes to the podcast in 2025. There are going to be some changes to my program in 2025 and my coaching and what I offer. So there's a lot of different things that are going to be going on. And as the new year kind of unravels, that's going to, probably have some changes as I see how everything plays out. But I want to make sure that you know that there is help for you. I always have help for you. You can go to delanemd.com/better. That's BETTER. And you can download the 14 Days to Better Blood Sugars Guide there. This is a 14-day menu that will tell you exactly what you need to eat every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It will give you some things that you can add on if you decide you want to add on something or are in the mood for something else. It is a very clear guide for 14 days. It is very powerful. So if you're on medications, I'll give that medication warning right now. If you've been medicated for your type 2 diabetes, you are medicated for the food you ate in the past. If you follow this 14-day guide, you're going to need to change those medications because you're changing the way you're eating. If you don't do this, you can get very sick, the kind of sick that looks like hospital care and ER visits, possibly even death. That is not why you're interested in making these changes. So I really, really need to encourage you to open a line of communication up with your primary care provider, whoever has given you these meds, and figure out how they want you to share your blood sugars with them and how they intend to share with you directions on how to change your medications to keep you safe. If you do not do this, you can get very sick. So I want to encourage you that. But you can find that guide at delanemd.com/better. The second piece of help that I have for you is a better blood sugars assessment call. You can schedule that at calendly.com. So that's Calendly, CALENDLY.com/DelaneMD/better blood sugars. You can also find this link on my website at delanemd.com. During these better blood sugars assessment calls, these are 45-minute calls where we jump on a Zoom call and you and I talk about what's blocking you. Maybe you did the 14 days for the entire time and you got better blood sugars, but you can't do it long term. Maybe for whatever reason, which is so rare, I've not heard it. So if it's happened to you, please call me. But maybe you did the 14 days to better blood sugars and you weren't seeing better blood sugars. I want to know about that too. These are all things that we can consider and talk about and cover during a better blood sugars assessment call. So make sure that you are getting the help that's available to you every day. Okay. There is going to be, though, some changes to coaching with me and also to the podcast in 2025. If you ever have any questions about what's spoken about in the podcast, or if you have suggestions for topics in the podcast that you want to hear about, or maybe you just want to say hi. I love it when people say hi. Send me an email. You can always find me at delane@delanemd.com. Okay, so let's talk about setting goals and about intentions or New Year's resolutions and what we need to do to make these functional goals for us in the new year. I do want to encourage you to allow yourself to dream big. Consider all of the options. Think about what you want. Think about why you really want these things. What will it mean for you? Many women are looking at their health. If your goal is like, I want to be non-diabetic and off of my meds, I want an A1C of 5.0 and no medications, you're going to have to tell yourself, you're going to have to force your brain to think about what that will mean for you. It may mean that you feel better. It may mean that you're able to do different things. It may mean that you're able to travel. It may mean that you're able to spend time with your family. It may mean that you're saving money on meds. It may mean that you're not nauseous on your meds. It may mean all sorts of things, but you're gonna have to, if you're interested in getting healthy, you're going to have to connect it with what it will mean for you. If you're healthy, what will that mean for you? What will be different than's happening for you today? So I really want to encourage you to dream big and then give yourself permission to look at why it's important to you. What is going to look different with you? If you get that vision about what the future is going to hold for you when you reach these goals and you're really unmotivated by them, that is going to be a very hard goal to bring together. You need to dig deeper. What does it mean that makes you want this? And then, of course, we talk about SMART goals, and I don't know that I love the idea of SMART goals, but one thing that it talks about is to set measurable things. So I want my blood sugar to be this in the morning. I want my A1C to be that next 3 months, whatever it is, set something that's clearly measurable. And then you're going to have to set dates with that. That's the other thing that SMART goals do is they have you set dates. So this may mean that you're going to have to break down your big goal into smaller goals, and then you put those smaller goals on the calendar, right? If your goal is to have an A1C of 5.0 by June 1st, that's great. But what do you do between January and June 1st? What are those things that are happening there? If you want to stay anchored to that goal to create you as this new person, you're going to have to start figuring out what things need to be done in a day-to-day basis to get there. If not, you're going to come to June 1st and it's not going to be done. So set your date and then set smaller goals if you need to and put those on the calendar. So if your goal might be, so some of these smaller goals might be getting an after meal blood sugar. So you're wanting the blood sugars that you take 2 hours after your meal to be a certain range. Or maybe you want your fasting blood sugar to be in a normal range. Or maybe you want that A1C to drop, but that's going to take 90 days, right? Maybe you want to get off your meds. That's going to take some time. Maybe you have other goals. Maybe it's weight loss or cholesterol meds. There could be all sorts of things, but set your date for the goal. Allow yourself to dream big, set your date, and then break it down smaller so that you're doing something every maybe week to 2 weeks. Like there is something that you're accomplishing in those 7 to 14 days of every week of your life. If not, you're going to push it off and it's going to come to the date that you gave yourself for the big goal, and you're not going to have completed the stuff that you need to complete. So once you do that, you get your big goal and you kind of get it on a calendar and you look at it, then I want you to sit and take a moment. I want you to take a deep breath and I want you to see how it feels inside of you. Give yourself permission to get a little woo-woo and investigate this. If it feels constricted, if it feels like there's anxiety, if it feels excited, if it feels solid, like what is the feeling that you have in your body when you set this goal? You may have thoughts like, who do I think I am to think I can get an A1C of 5.0? I've been diabetic for a decade. You may have other thoughts that say, like we talked about earlier, I've tried so many times. Why do I think this is going to work? You might feel excited. And you also might need to search for some doubts and negative feelings. I want to offer to you, there is a reason you haven't completed this before. There's a reason this is going on your New Year's resolution list or whatever you want to call it. You have a reason that you haven't completed this already. You have a mountain you want to climb, and there's a reason you haven't climbed it already. So I need you to identify what the reason is that you haven't achieved this goal yet. What's blocked you? What feeling goes with that? These are likely the things in your past that have kept you from reaching these goals when you identify this. These must be investigated. I spoke about this in the podcast earlier this year, but Coach Wooden, John Wooden, he was a basketball coach in the 60s and 70s, took UCLA to multiple championships, one of the most successful basketball coaches of all time, men's college basketball coaches of all time. One of the things that he said is you must solve for any points of failure that you find. So what he said is if you intend to be a success, if you intend to be a champion and you see a site of failure, it is your responsibility to do everything that's in your power to solve for that. So for me, we see this, that women are so quick. What I see in my group and my program is that women are so quick to move beyond the failure. Like I can't even look at my own failures because I feel so horrible when I look at them that I can't glean every morsel of information from them. You are going to learn more from your failures than you will ever learn in your successes. You're going to learn more about you. You're going to learn more about what it takes to be healthy. You're going to learn more about the people around you. You're going to learn more about your life and the world you live in. Way more from the failures than you ever you'll ever learn from the successes. Please do not miss the opportunity to learn this. Women want to skip this because we are so averse to failure. We make failures mean that we are broken. There's something about us that's broken, and you're not broken. You simply haven't figured it out yet. We think that we will figure it out just by trying again, try again, try again, try again. And maybe, my friend, you will, but you're going to do it quicker if you address the site of failure, if you solve for that site of failure. So this again means, Wooden's quote, when champions see a site of failure, it's their responsibility to do everything in their power to address that site of failure. For me, this means if you intend to be successful at something, when you see a site that can fail, it's your responsibility to address it, to do everything in your power to change it. And here's the big thing, my friend. If you are not willing to do that, if you're unable or unwilling to look at the sites of failure, You just can't see the side of failure that needs to be addressed and solved for. And that's totally fine. It just means that that's not where your priority is. Your priority is really not in being successful at this one thing. And you know it because you're not willing to look at what's failing and fix it. When we are so averse to failure that we're unable to investigate what happened and study the failure, we're also unable to solve for the side of failure. And this is why it's so important to look at your failures. It's also going to give you guidance on the things that you need to do, the things that you need to get granular about. So remember, we are going to set a goal, we are going to calendar that goal, and then we are going to see how it feels in us. And we're going to work on our beliefs about what we want until we get to a point where we're like, I really love the reasons I want this, and I love this goal. And it's not burdensome or hard. It's not something I don't want to do. It's really something I do want. And then we are going to look for sites of failure, and we're going to solve for those sites of failure. And then what you're going to do is get really granular on the actions that you take. If you find that you are unable to complete a task, a goal that you've given for yourself, what it means is not that you need to abandon the goal, but instead you need to get really granular on what it is you need to do moment to moment to achieve that. So if your goal is to save $10,000 in 2025, you know you need to put money in the bank to do that. The granular things you need to just think about is, what am I going to eat for lunch? How am I going to manage coffee in the morning? How am I going to create savings? So that means that if I'm not spending money and that's been the habit that I've made, what do I need to do differently in my life when I'm not spending money? That is the getting granular component. That's a getting specific component. When you allow yourself to investigate your sites of failure, you are going to get a long list of things you need to get granular about, these step-by-step things that you need to be doing. This is how we achieve our goals. So I want to encourage you to work through these as the new year approaches. Get yourself maybe 2 or 3 of these and then really break it down. Because again, you're going to see, like, my side of failure is in getting out of the house on time. Okay, then that means I need to get in bed earlier. I need to get up a little earlier. I need to plan a little more. All of those things are the sites of failure that have not been working for you previously that you need to do now. That's what you need to get granular about. So I want to encourage you to set yourself some goals this year. Dream big. Allow yourself to dream big. Walk through these steps and get real clear on what it is you need to be doing, specifically, real granular, if you are going to succeed. I want to offer that if you're really like, I don't want to do these things, these are tasks I don't want to do, then we have to give ourselves permission to change our goals. Like, I really don't want that thing. And I know I don't want that thing because I'm not willing to do the things that need to be done in order for me to be successful at it. That's all it means. And nothing's wrong with you about that. So allow yourself to really have a frank look, a very open and honest look at what you want. And then if you decide, hell yeah, I do want that, give yourself permission to lean into the hard things to do it. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Delane at DelaneMD.com. I will be back next week and I will talk with you then.